Welcome everyone to the Feeling Inspired Podcast. I've got an amazing guest today called Priyesh, aka UnclePri. Actually, I want to ask that question as well today. But as we do here on the Feeling Inspired Podcast, I've got my Spark Conversations cards. These are available on sparkconversations.shop. And as I like to do with my guests, let's pose a question to them first and see what kind of answers they come up with. So let's give it a little bit of a shuffle to make sure we're not getting the same questions again and again. All right, so you tell me when to stop.
Stop there.
Alrighty, let's have a look. Oh, interesting. Okay, what's your favorite board or card game and why?
Okay.
And that could be any time, past, present, future, what you might even do on a date potentially.
I was always a big fan of Monopoly as a kid.
Yeah.
We always got quite competitive in the household, even when like Christmas time when I've like all the cousins playing Monopoly.
Did you have to be banker?
I got told off for being banker. Certain notes were found lying around in certain places they shouldn't have been, and all of a sudden, how have you got that? Monopoly, and then I think that probably stands out as the best one. Like, I even like it with the card version now.
Yeah, Monopoly deal. I love.
That's great on a little date night out. Bring that out. As in, I'm bad because I win a lot, but it's good fun.
Competitive, right?
Yeah.
And it gets so competitive because everyone could just change in a single card,
oh yeah,
right?
You play what, a deal breaker?
Oh yeah, the deal breakers, yeah. Which is an apt word for dating, isn't it? Really, I love it. But Monopoly deal, me and my wife play quite a bit. We play we play like a game that we play at the moment, just when we want to exercise our brains, as bananagrams. Have you ever played it?
No.
Really cool. It's a bit like kind of like Scrabble in a sense, but it's more like you build your own sort of word search. So you basically you got 100 word letter tiles, and then you take 21. You both start with 21, and then you just have to build up your words like in a crossword fashion.
Yeah.
And the first one to complete all the letters and use up all the tiles in the middle wins. So it's good. We love that one.
Wait, is that like an actual board game you buy yourself?
It's just a little bag of
nice.
the little letters. You just need a table or something you can play on. That's it.
Quite cool.
We love it, man. We love it. Yeah, and it's good for your brain as well. It's good to
take that to the
get
next
that
event.
Neuroplasticity going, right?
There you go. Take it to the next event.
Yeah.
So
Well, the funny thing is, you say that actually, we want to do more games nights next year because we haven't done one for a long time, and I personally love games nights. I think for me, when I think back to the past of Connect Asian, the things I've enjoyed the most, the axe throwing I loved. The games nights, and the other thing we want to try and do next year is a quiz night as well. So
fair. No, I
yeah,
think it's a good shout in terms of it. It's a nice icebreaker, but it definitely mellows it down, and you can have more chilled conversations versus it being somewhat forced to then say, "This is what I do," blah blah blah. Or like, you know the roles anyway. You know the ropes.
Exactly, and obviously that's the whole point of those cards as well. You can then take them on a date, and then you can play games as well.
I have used them as well.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! On a date or how did it go?
Yeah, they're good. They're good. It gets funny because like once you pick up you pick up a card and you're like, I've read this before. Yep, we're gonna have to recycle the same answer again. But it's good. I think it's very, very well done. Very well done.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Well, first off, let's find out a little bit more about you, because obviously you had me on your podcast recently, and we thought, why not get you on as well? And let's see let's take this for a ride and see what this guy's made of. So I want to know a little bit of your history as well. So first and foremost, the UnclePri thing. We'll come back to that, and then of course you are yourself a coach, and you've done the Jay Shetty program, and so. One question that I like to ask, and a particular piece of information I like to try and fish out, is the why. So why did you choose to go on that route? What was it about coaching for you? Was it, would you say, almost a cathartic healing of yourself and healing others, or was it something else?
The idea so I trained as an accountant, qualified, and then I knew once I'd finished that, I wanted to just go travel and go, I don't want to say the phrase butt wild crazy, but just have fun, just be me. And then COVID happened, so I was in New York and I had to come back home because they were closing stuff down.
Oh shit, we were there as well, were they?
In March.
March. Yeah, literally we were there the day before New York lockdown.
So I think I luckily came back 2 days before that.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so came back, and then it was the conversation, do you want to go back into another finance job or not? So I was speaking to a few recruiters, and I thought to myself, a few people used to say to me, Pri, you're a bit of you've got this motivational vibe to you. And I always felt maybe it could be a calling, but I had my own healing I had to go through. And this was probably a reason where I jumped into the Jay Shetty school. I knew I was going through stuff prior to that. and I said, let me invest in this coaching course. Family pushed me in a good direction to say any investment in yourself is priceless.
Nice.
Let's do this course, and let's just understand a bit more about you. Let's see if there's any techniques or things that come out. No, there was no real reason to become a coach. It was just purely do the course. And then I realized you have to do some sort of coaching exercises. And I was like, well, kind of wanted to be a motivational speaker at some point. So this could marry up quite well. And things just fell into place. So to answer your question, I went in to learn more about me, had to practice being a coach, realized there was a gift there. And I just feel like sometimes things are your calling, and this felt like a calling.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to people who are 20, 30 years older than me, possibly could be my parents.
Yeah.
And having deep, meaningful conversations in a coaching space with them, helping them navigate through stuff that they already know has been present for so long. They're breaking down in front of me. And I'm not talking about just like Asians, I'm talking about people from all races, all different ages, all over the world kind of thing. It was a touching feeling to know that I could offer that space for someone to be very unfiltered. So and I just thought, let me just run it. Went back into work, tried to do it on the side, and now said, forget doing that. This is my time to shine. Let's give it my all, and let's try and coach as many people as we can, and see what we can do with it, really.
Nice. And even this kind of like idea of two brown guys on a sofa being open and vulnerable, I think it's quite relatively new. I think this is not happening a lot anywhere else, so it's nice to see as well. I hope people can just appreciate that a little bit. Of course, I don't look too much to skin color and all that kind of stuff, but I still think it's an important thing considering our history, where we've come from, the kind of upbringing we've had, and the kind of culture that it breeds as well. Like talking about all the Asian stuff and seeing still how much the old school legacy mindsets persist, how much of that, I'm not even sure if generational trauma is the right word, but it's more about just legacy mindsets being pushed onto our youngsters. Like I was talking about this in a video the other day where a mum was saying to me, can you help me find some of my daughter? I mean, yeah, of course. And then she sent me her little bio data, and on there is her weight. And I'm thinking, I don't need to know that information. I don't care. As long as we make people care, they're going to care. But if we don't, it's not going to be a problem for anyone.
Yeah.
But it's so true. But I love it. I love that you kind of decided to totally pivot, away from finance, because you've got two complete opposites. You've got, finance, the logical side of the brain, the left side of the brain, and then you've got completely going to the coaching side, the right side. The
interesting though thing with accounting and finance is that environment. There is a big calling for people to go into that environment and help people on a personal business front. What I mean by that is everyone's going through stuff financially, romantically, personal trauma, etc. But we don't actually speak about it at work. Mm-hmm. And it's the not normal thing to do, to tell your manager, I'm going through this right now. Can we possibly find an alternative way of being able to get the work done at a different time, or getting some other people in, and being open and honest in that environment. So I really wanted to try and push that, because I felt I could do that with my managers that I used to work for. It would be nice if there could be a change in that environment. And so stepping away from it, I'm not saying it now, but maybe in the future, it could be an opportunity where I get a chance to dabble with some corporate companies or work with smaller firms, just to encourage openness and speaking up, because we spend majority of our lives at work, and yet we have to keep our mouth closed around certain things. And like I've had people on my guest talk about, let's say, the menstrual cycle, IVF, and like all of these small bits and bobs that happen literally quite personally in our lives, and some of them quite normal, some of them very unnormal. But you have to go to work with a smile on your face and pretend that everything's okay. It's not okay. And if we're in an environment where we're trying to be inclusive, how much of a different world are we going to be living in if we're able to enforce that? So it'd be nice to see if we can try and bring that into there. But for now, it's just purely helping women with insecurities and self-doubt.
Yeah. And I think there's one thing with the corporate environment. It's a case of one thing is said, but it's not really acted upon, right? Yeah. So they have this idea, we want to create these compassionate, safe spaces, but I think in practice it doesn't happen. And truly, in honesty, who wants to do that work anyway? I mean, if I was there, I don't really want to discuss it with my colleagues, because I've seen it. Unfortunately, I have been in a position where I've been open to people, this was years ago, but then that information gets abused.
No, but it's like, say if someone passes away, right? You're allowed to take grievance, etc. But no one really knows what's really going on behind the scenes, how close you were with that family relative, which only allows you one day off work.
Yeah.
But respectfully, they were so close to you, it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
And if you have to come in and you've got deadlines to meet, I think any normal person would turn around and say, damn, okay, you know what? Take some more time off. I can understand. Don't come into work. It's cool. Like, do it from home. Spend the week from home. Just log in as and when you can. Just message me. But because it's not seen as that's allowed to be done, people are still going to come in with a brave face and try and pretend like it's okay. And it's not okay. So, yeah, I think there's definitely opportunities for, if your manager can't do it, getting external people in to try and hold that space. But yeah, man, it's difficult because like we all go through things, but we block it out in that environment. So
yeah, I remember once years ago. This was like, I think probably about 2008. So this was around about the time my sister passed away. I think so she'd passed very recently. I just completed like not my first 5K, maybe it was my first 10K at that point in time, and we've just done a big comedy night as well. And like, you know, that hurricane of emotions that goes on at that point. So I walked into my manager's office and I just burst out crying. And I never do that, but it was just suddenly just came flooding out and stuff as well. Luckily for me, she was pretty cool. And but I've seen, unfortunately, like I said, whilst it's said, it's not necessarily practiced as it should be,
because they're not taught.
Yeah.
And so all it takes is an element of education. And like, if you feel uncomfortable holding that space, you don't have to coach them. It's just knowing, all right, you know what? I think we need to have someone in once a week just so that you can have conversations with, or enforce the idea of some of these other companies that are doing great things through like your insurance providers, like BetterHelp, if you need to get therapy in and you subsidize it or something. And it's just say, if you can't do it, let's try and push it in the right direction. But I feel like there's still a long way for it to come, but maybe startups and earlier companies like, let's say like Google and Facebook, they probably offer something like that, which is a bit different. But yeah, so there is a bit of a transition, but I do think they marry up quite well.
Yeah. And the uncle thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
You'd hope it has forgotten.
UnclePri.
Yeah.
I've spoken about it on my podcast. It's weird. At university, and I think generally growing up, I was always one that tried to make sure whenever we went out, people got home safely. And like maybe would be a bit more sober so that everyone got in the cab, or took everyone's money for going to Oceana, Watford. I've got everyone's money. I got the cab money sorted. Boys were fine. And so I was always like mindful on that front. Even at uni, it possibly changed a little bit later.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I just felt a level of responsibility. It was just always been there. And then at work, similar things would happen. Message everyone in the WhatsApp. Everyone got home. I think one of the boys didn't want to say passed out, but it was really bad. Dropped him off to his door to make sure, because he didn't live far from me. And then at work, they used to call me P Money, because I'd have a moan a lot. I was a bit of a Tracy Beaker character. Or it was Uncle P.
Yeah.
And Uncle P wasn't available, so we ran with UnclePri instead.
Nice.
And I feel like it just also marries up with the idea of being a coach. Like, I think we all have that uncle, or we have an agony aunt, but we all have that uncle we could possibly talk to when things are going a bit sour and want to open up to. And I'm that guy for a lot of people. So
yeah. Nice. I have my next door neighbor, the little daughter. She's only like just about to turn 5, but her name from whenever she could first start speaking for me was Mr. Uncle.
There you go.
And that's stuck now. And I said to her, don't ever change that, please. Yeah. I love it. That's one of my favorite terms of endearment I've ever heard in my life. Just keep calling me Mr. Uncle. It's cool. I love it.
It sounds quite nice. Like, I don't like people calling me like nephews and nieces, calling me like Kaka or Mama. Yeah. Like, if you call me Uncle, it's fine. Yeah. Just call me Pri. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how the names kind of transitioned into it.
So the Jay Shetty course, what were some of your biggest things that you took away that you still use to this day in your coaching and what you do to help people? What's been your go-to techniques that you've taken away from there?
So a lot of it comes from with the type of clients I work with right now. There's a lot of trauma, and that's probably a big word to throw out, because it might not be as traumatic, but for them it's trauma. I've slowly started to make it make sense to me. I'm not sure if there's an actual thing out there, but forgiveness, letting go and accepting so that you can move on. And there's this triangle, and that was one of the exercises I had to go through, because there was a lot of stuff I hadn't let go of. I might have forgot about it, but I hadn't really forgave the person. a lot of forgiving attitude to myself and my younger self. A number of these exercises around forgiveness and letting go is normally a key thing.
Yeah.
Having people have that penny drop moment when it comes to like small fears or big fears, and how it's not necessarily a major thing. When you look at what's really scary in the world right now, and you compare it to what you're currently going through, i.e. to go speak to this boy or to tell your mum X, Y, Z, it actually doesn't rank up anywhere on that scale. So it's just reversing your mindset to say to yourself, it's actually not that bad. I can go and do it.
Yeah.
So things like that. But I think the major takeaway for me was being allowed to speak the way I do, come across with the energy I bring out. I have that no bullshit approach, and understanding that it's okay to be that person, and it's not going to work for everyone, but it will work for a lot more people. And if you keep putting your energy out there, it definitely will gravitate and attract that energy back. Understanding that about myself through the course has been amazing. Like I did a lot of like self-worth exercises and like not feeling good enough, all of that limiting belief stuff. I suppose like you can't teach coaching. You can give someone a bunch of exercises. Yeah, say this to your client, say these questions. But I think it comes down to understanding and looking at that person and saying, that's all you move there, what's up? Yeah. And using your intuition. And I felt like I learned I had that skill about me, and it was just bringing it to the table. So yeah, I learned a lot about me personally. It's weird. I'd be sat behind a computer screen, listening to Jay telling us his exercise, doing the exercise, putting on an instrumental, and then just crying. Thinking, what the hell? And mom and sister are looking at me thinking, what's going on? What's going on? What happened? I'm like, I just realized, it's not good. I'm letting a lot of people down. I'm letting myself down. And understanding that, and then bringing it back to like my advisors, etc., and then reinforcing that it's okay to feel this way, etc. It's understanding that it's okay to not be okay, and you're not perfect, and it's all right, and there's a lot of work to be done, but it's good you've identified that now and you want to work towards it. So what's something you're seeing often now, or it's a commonplace thing, something that maybe it is being talked about, maybe it isn't, but what is a pattern that you're noticing in people at the moment? You probably realize it as well with your clientele. People don't give themselves permission. Maybe it is very much culturally driven, but I don't want to say that's the underlying reason. We don't give ourselves enough permission to go and do what it is that we want to do, because there's an element of people pleasing. We're not generally allowed to. It looks wrong if we do that. And I think helping someone in this point of time right now understand that it's okay, go do it. See what happens. See how you feel. Reflect on that. You see a different mindset starting to evolve, where, you know what, it's all right for me to go out and have drinks with the girls tonight. Like, I'm not a bad person for doing that. I'm also not a bad person if I want to go to this gym and spend a little bit more money and train in that environment. I'm not a bad thing. I'm not a bad person if I want to shop and spend a bit more money on myself. And like, because culturally we're driven, and I say culturally, I mean from, let's say, the South Asian, I'm going to say Gujarati background. I can't speak for everyone. Get a good job, get a good education, get a house, get married, have kids, etc. What if you don't want kids just yet? That's okay. What if you don't want to get into the investment property market because you want to use all your money right now into becoming the next big thing? You want to put all your money and all your investments into your music industry, your music career, your side business. Like, before, we can't do that. We have to save for a rainy day, save for a wedding. No, you don't have to get married like everyone else. You can do what you want to do. But it's giving yourself permission to be able to do that. And you probably realize that with your clients, right?
Yeah, I would definitely 100%. I think that the where that stems from is society, the prison we put ourselves in society right now. And a good example of this, we could talk about this, but I don't care which direction this goes in as well. Kind of like this wokeness that actually is supposed to liberate, but it's also trapping so many of us to think a certain way. And then to be able to say, actually, no, I want to think a different way. I want to think for myself first and foremost. And like you said, it's okay. Another form of this that I find is really prevalent at the moment is, I've had to say this a lot to people recently, that be very mindful about classifying something as more positive or negative. Like, I try and say that to everyone. Like, don't think about positive thinking. Don't think something's negative. For example, feeling sad would be an example of this, where sadness in and of itself isn't negative. It's probably a form of healing. It's you going through the feeling you're feeling, the sadness is probably because you're processing what you're going through. So in and of itself, you could actually say it's quite a positive thing. So, anger is a very useful emotion. There's thousands of examples of this, but I feel that even now people still want to label things so black and white, positive and negative, where I'm like, no. If you need in front of me right now to shout, scream, swear at me, maybe it'll be a bit of catharsis for you to visualize me as the person who's annoyed you, for example. You feel like you want to just have a blast, go for it. See, I don't see that as negative. I see that as a very healthy, positive thing. Yeah, because where else can you ever get to do that in this world?
100%.
Let it out, get it out, let's process. And then from there, you can then, like you said, give yourself permission that it's okay to feel a certain way. It's okay to have certain desires. It's okay to think, non-conformatively, if that's a word, and, live for yourself and enjoy yourself. I've got a client at the moment, and when you were talking about this, sort of rings bells, is that there is, I won't give too many details, but they're a sibling. They got 2 younger siblings in their 40s. But this person still feels incredibly responsible for these 2 adults. And, where that's come from is another subject altogether, but just now allowing herself to live her own life and letting her siblings, and actually, if anything, this protective nature that she's developed is actually potentially harmful to the siblings. And so it's actually probably going to be very helpful to start letting go and let them have that level of independence. So it's that type of thing. So 100% get you.
It's like when you mentioned it on my podcast with regards to this old gentleman who, I put the TikTok on it, where I'm not educated enough. Give yourself permission to just talk. Where have you got it in your right mind right now that you aren't able to have a conversation? And there's small things like that. When you realize it, it's a case of, no, it's okay for you to get angry. Just know that the other person will not receive it well, but it's all right.
Yeah.
And I feel like because we are so driven on these negative thoughts that we can't, or negative feelings and emotions that we can't act and behave a certain way, we restrict ourselves. And when we let it all out, it becomes a problem. No, you just need someone on the receiving end to be able to hold that and also let you know, is there any more? Let it out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we don't necessarily know as well the impact it's having on us physically as well. Like obviously there's been a lot of information coming out about this, which is wonderful. I'm listening to Mo Goddat's How to Solve for Happy. He talks a little bit about this, but I recently listened to Gabor Mate's When the Body Says No, and he talks about this extensively, that obviously, harboring of some of these emotions, of course, then will eventually manifest itself into some sort of physical ailment. And that's the other thing you've got to be really careful about, that if you're not able to be free in your vernacular, right? And I think it's so accurate, and not able to free yourself from it, and you keep yourself inside this prison, then there is consequence, there is a karma, and that karma is that obviously it will manifest in some sort of way inside of you through, like we say, a physical ailment, or it could just become something kind of really repressed that affects you in a very significant way later on down the line. So that's why we've got to be very careful that we do give ourselves permission to allow ourselves to set ourselves free, and then so that it doesn't haunt us in some form or fashion later.
For sure. Like on the back end of that, I've been doing therapy. Amazing. It's not for everyone, but I enjoy it because I'm able to explore a bit more about me. And in the space of it being like dating and relationships, I've learned there are things about me which I thought I'm great at, which I'm still not. They have been conditioned from when I was a child. And my therapist has identified that I might be somewhat avoidant in some areas. And it's great you feel a certain kind of way when someone tries to overstep that boundary. Now, there's 2 things I want you to do here, Pri. First thing, feel those negative emotions, the anxiety, the anger, the frustration, and start getting comfortable with the action that's being performed, because you have been avoiding this your entire life, yet part of you really wanted it. And now this is your coping mechanism to navigate your way out of the situation, is because that's what you were brought up to do.
Yeah.
So right now, I want you to let it happen, but explain and elaborate to the people that you're speaking to. This is not normal for you, but you're going to start accepting. You're going to give yourself permission right now to let it come in its own waves and let it, like, you might react badly, but that's okay, but learn how to communicate and say that, get that across. And it's interesting because it's like doing this therapy, I realized I'm now giving myself more and more permission to be very open and honest around things where I might be self-sabotaging or I might be throwing my hands up in the air thinking that it's okay to do this right now in this way. It's not.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. What you really want to do right now is go to the driving range or go watch some Netflix and just chill, and that's totally fine. You don't want to have a conversation right now. Give yourself permission to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's what's right in the moment and running with that. So
yeah, I feel you on that. I think it's something as well, especially people in line with what we do.
Yeah,
it's even more important, I think, as well. I have lots of instances of that. But like even just people, because they get my number off my Google page, and so they'll ring me randomly or ad hoc and just, can I speak to you about something? And I'm like, actually, no. If you want to have a proper chat, book an appointment, because I'm in the middle of something. Even if I'm not in the middle of something, I'll just say, I'm in the middle of something, and that's whether that's me time or otherwise. Book an appointment, and then we'll speak. And it took me a long while to get comfortable saying that. But another challenge that's arisen for me recently is the whole connectation thing, balancing when I coach people versus the information I receive. So good example of this, I was coaching someone recently, just the free discovery call. Was a really productive call, I think, and they really found that they got a lot out of it. However, so I've got to be really delicate about the words I use here. So they're on my singles WhatsApp group, and someone has joined who happens to be the person they were referring to during that coaching call. And they were like, I think you should remove this person. And I'm like, I don't think I should remove this person. And I said, if I remove this individual, they're going to want to know why. And then I'm going to have to explain it to them. And I've got to be honest. And I've also got to then give them a chance to give their side of the story. And I said to this individual, I said, if I removed you from the group and I didn't give you an explanation, wouldn't that annoy you? And, so it's kind of like balancing two very different areas now, being a moderator for want of a better phrase, but also the coaching that I've just given them, the rapport I've built up. I feel like from the conversation we've just had, it's probably broken down completely now, that rapport. I can't control everything. I'm okay with that. I've had to let it go. It's fine. But that is some of the things that happen from this world, where it's a little bit different and can get a little bit contentious.
You're not going to please everyone.
Yeah. And this is the thing, actually, you hit the nail on the head. And that's it. I've had to become really comfortable with not pleasing everyone, because actually my history was I was a major people pleaser. And as I've hit my 30s and 40s, a lot of that's just been let go. And I realized that I'm just going to be pissing a lot of people off half the time. Dr. John DeMartini, I don't know if you know his work at all, right? He says a lot. Look, he says, when I'm giving a talk, I'm pretty aware that I'm pissing off half the audience and I'm pleasing half the audience. That's exactly the sweet spot anyway, to be honest. You're going to be annoying someone with what you say, and that's okay. That's life, and being okay with that. And it took me a long time to get there, but got there in the end.
It's like, again, referring back to our episode, I put a couple of other TikToks up, and I had a lot of messages come through in regards to the things I was saying around what I think women might be complaining about when it comes to dating.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I had very, very mixed opinions. Someone saying, well, this is why women say X, Y, and Z. And I've got another lady messaging me saying, I'm glad you said that. You've hit the nail on the head there. You're right. I don't know why we're questioning this. And it's like, you're not going to please everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
And your opinion or your way of working, etc., isn't meant to work for everyone, because there's going to be someone else that is going to be better suited for them. And that's totally fine.
Yeah. And I tell people that. I say, when I give people my discovery call, I'm like, don't sign up yet. Give it 24 hours. And in fact, better still, go have a couple of other calls with most coaches will give you some kind of discovery period, right? And you just go have a call with them and see if you find anyone better, because you might find someone else. I'd never want to take anyone on under any form of obligation or pressure, because that is the worst coaching relationship ever, in my humble opinion. They felt pressured. And I was saying this to someone recently, only twice in my life has anyone asked for a refund. One was a genuine error on my part. I took someone on who was not ready for coaching. They needed therapy. And I'm usually pride myself on just being able to pick up on that subtle difference. And the second time happened really recently. Her case was definitely far more subtle, and I didn't pick up on it, but it happens, right? And for a coach, for me personally, priding myself on what I do, that stung. It really stung. But I've had to just let it go. It's okay. I wasn't for her in this case, and it's absolutely fine. I'm not going to be for everyone. And like I said, in the line of work that I do, doing both sides, doing the events, singles, and the coaching, there's going to be a lot of pissing people off. and it does happen. And, there's been many cases of it recently, and pretty profound ones, including one, a guy who kind of, so that you love the story. So there's a guy doing the rounds who's been really rude, like disgustingly rude to ladies. So one lady sent me some information about this guy, and I happened to get his details. So save his details on my phone. So then I noticed he tried to join the WhatsApp group. So I've and then I pieced some of the other puzzles together, and I realized, oh, hang on a minute, he's got 2 numbers.
Yeah.
And not only did he give me, did I get his real name, I got his business name, his home address, everything, I got everything, all the details that I need. So that if he carries on doing this kind of stuff, we're going to share it all with the police. So it's up to you. Quit what you're doing. Now, imagine how pissed off this guy is at me. And he threatened me as well. He sent me a message threatening me, saying, I'm going to sue you for, what's the word when you tar someone's character? What's it called again? Like, what's illegal? Something. Yeah, I can't, you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean now, right? And he's, and then I'm going to take away your livelihood. And I was like, good luck. Like I'm no schmo. I'm no schmuck. I know what I'm doing. I've protected myself. I've got a barrister advising me as well. So if you want to roll the dice, go for it. But again, just comes from being used to it now and being okay and actually very comfortable with not pleasing everyone, and it happens. And so, but I love this as well. So I want to mention and talk a little bit about your single life now, because obviously you are single, right?
Yeah.
Actually, no, but this is actually really good for me as well, because I can now elicit some information from you on some of your biggest challenges and what you're going through, what you're seeing firsthand right now as we film this in 2024, some of the reality of what's going on. Because I don't necessarily see it myself, but I hear it from all sides. Mm-hmm. So I have a good idea, but then sometimes I find that what people are telling me is not actually what's going on. Case in point, over the course of 2 weeks, this was probably a while ago now, I had 3 ladies complain about guys on the WhatsApp group, for example. All 3 of them were lying. This was in the space of 2 weeks. This was a while ago now. All 3 of them were lying. How do I know they were lying? Because eventually I ended up speaking to all those 3 other guys, and they wanted to share their side of the story, and they sent me screenshots. And it turns out those women were lying, all of them. And I was like... I remember that really frustrated me for a good few weeks. And I was like, how am I supposed to help people if they can't be honest with me?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I see that. So I'd love to know some of the reality of what's going on. So what do you experience? What's happening on apps, on dating? What are you finding?
I would have said a couple of years ago, apps were pretty much a bit more active in terms of people would try and match and speak a bit more. Nowadays, I'm not sure whether it's just me, but there's a lack of energy going into it. I personally don't really use apps. Like it's there, and I might like dabble in it every now and then, but I'm not putting the energy into it because, again, it's nice to try and meet someone organic. But respectfully, I think dating has taken a change from what it probably was during COVID time, because everyone was on their phone. Everyone's a bit more out there now. I think everyone's just got different desires, and it's being open and honest from the offset, which a lot of people aren't able to do. Being very vulnerable and generally just stating what it is that you want. I've talked about it. Like, there are a number of things you need to like really assess when you're starting to get to know someone. I kind of know where I stand, but I'm still learning more about the process as well. And for someone, it's not going to be right. And it might come across as I'm self-sabotaging, when I might say to them, look, maybe this isn't the right thing for us to be doing right now. But I'm saying it as a coach. Like, I know, like, if I was advising a client or speaking to a client right now, I'd be like, yeah, why are you in that? Yeah. So I've got to be open and honest with this person right now. If this is where I'm at and you're somewhere different, it's probably not best you speaking to me. Like, I think I'm a great guy. I think you're a great person. There's actually nothing wrong with you. But respectfully, in this place right now, what you're looking for might be very different to what I'm doing. And I'm actually spoken about it. Like, if our wavelengths are a bit different right now, it's not saying that it couldn't marry up in the future. But if you haven't got the time for that and you haven't got the energy to walk at the pace I'm walking at, it's going to create a little bit of unnecessary drama. Yeah. But I think I'm a very different kettle of fish, because I feel like when I speak to, if not clients, when I speak to generally women, guys don't come across that way. Yeah. They don't help themselves. But likewise, I feel like women aren't very open and honest on what it is that they really, truly want. Like, it's all right saying you want a relationship, but what does that really mean? What are you looking for long term? Because I've had conversations where someone wants to be a house mom. They want to not work. They want someone who's very successful, earns a lot of money. but then they also want some of the more deeper things.
Hashtag trad wife.
But there are other things where like they want more the deeper things, like a deep, meaningful connection, be able to speak to their partner and do more coupley things, etc. But you have to also face facts that you might not get exactly what you want, and it's then honing it in. What's more important, the flashy lifestyle or someone who's going to love and care for you? I also feel like, and people probably get onto me for this, but I'm very much mindful in regards to, from a guy's perspective, you don't know what we're going through. Not to say that we're a problem and that like everyone should show pity towards us, but there are a number of things that go through a guy's mind when it comes to dating. Not only do we feel we have to be a provider, not only do we feel that we have to have all our shit together, it's a case of then we have to look a certain way. If we're short, it's a problem. If we're too tall, it's a problem. If we're overweight, it's a problem.
Yeah.
We also have to mold into what it is that you're trying to mold into. If our job doesn't sound pretty, we have to change our title ever so much to make it sound appealing. We have to appeal to your parents to make sure that we're good enough. So there are a number of things that go on behind the scenes. Some guys might not want to admit to you right now that they're still heartbroken or they're still scared, and that's not a problem. But that's the reason why they're messing around right now. Or they don't just want to settle down straight away because it's scary for them to put all their eggs in one basket, because they know what kind of person they are when they're in a relationship. They're all in and they've been hurt before, so they can't do that right now. So there are a number of different factors. Some guys just want to just play the field for a bit because they want to be free. They're not looking to tie themselves into anything. But so are women. But there's this lack of honesty and vulnerability, and that creates a problem. So the problems that I come up with, what I face, I can always allow someone to be very open and honest. I had this, it's quite funny, when I started coaching, I then, during that 2021 period where doors were being lifted in regards to you're free to go out and stuff, I went on a number of first dates, but they were only first dates for a reason, because my wavelength and their wavelength were very different, and I could hold space and get them being very open and honest. But we both wanted different things, so it wasn't worth us trying to connect and seeing where it could go, because I don't want what you want. And since then, I've kept that energy, and it's great. But then it also, for me as a coach, comes back in my face when I can start seeing things, and I'm just like, we probably want different things, so it's probably best not pursuing it right now.
Yeah. Would you say that you, because of your coaching background, you're potentially overthinking it too early on, like so that you've got that sort of that screen up, that filter on to detect these things, and it's not enabling you to see the other side potentially?
Yeah. So I had this realization very recently, within the last week, and I think therapy has definitely helped me understand this. I have been asking for someone who understands my drive, my ambitions, not going to judge me for it, not going to look at my situation and think, oh, he's not like him. Like it's going to be completely like comparison free. And there's also a part of me where I like certain things in a woman, certain ambitions, certain hobbies, etc. And then it got me thinking, Pri, you might be turning down a number of great opportunities to get to know someone on small, minor things right now, because in your head, you feel like it's not your cup of tea, so why shouldn't you? But long term, if you think about it, are you self-sabotaging right now because your therapist has told you you have to start getting comfortable with these uncomfortable things that throw up? If it's not a red flag, but it's just it's a stone in your shoe, it's something that you can like obviously work your way around kind of thing, right? And so I'm slowly starting to get into that mindset. Would I want to date someone older than me? It's not a problem. If she wants a certain lifestyle right now and I'm not there, obviously it won't marry up. But is that the be all and end all? So I'm trying to be a lot more open-minded towards it. But I feel like when you say that, it comes across as you're wasting my time. I'm really not trying to waste your time. Let me be very honest with you. I want something long-term. Respectfully though, I don't want to be with someone that I end up getting divorced with because we realize we just wanted two different things later down the line. I'm not in it for that. I want my next girlfriend to be my last girlfriend. But is that a problem then? Am I putting too much pressure on myself? Possibly I am. But you have to also realize that I've gone through a lot of work and now I'm on this path. I'm not saying that you need to join me. I'm not saying that you need to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm just asking for someone who understands and accepts and isn't going to judge me for wanting to do X, Y, and Z with my career, with my life, the way I train, how I golf, all of my other things I do with my family and stuff, just to accompany it. And I feel that's a more healthier way of being able to build a relationship. But apparently people haven't got time. So you could date someone younger who might have the time, or you can date someone older who wants to accelerate that process because of body clocks and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if you ask me right now, am I ready for a kid today? Probably not. If you ask me, am I ready for a kid in the next year or two? I still might be dabbling with the idea on the back end of, I'm very career focused right now. But that's not to say that if a kid turned up one evening kind of thing, like, am I going to say no? It wouldn't be a case right now if I'm speaking to someone who has a child. Would I be like, that's not for me?
Yeah.
No, if we're on the same wavelength and we understand this is where I'm at, this is where you're at, and you're not going to get in the way of what I'm doing, and I'm not going to get in the way of yours, but we can complement each other, why wouldn't it be something worth exploring, right? But there's this weird thing that goes on because, like, I've had a number of older women reach out to me. Okay, cool. There's like a 10-year difference now. Not a problem. What are you really after, though? Let's be honest with this right now. Let's not beat around the bush, because we know we're at different stages of our lives right now. You want something long term, but you're then trying to speak to me. Like, what makes you think that it's going to accompany that? And it's like vice versa. If I matched with someone who's like a lot younger than me, what's my real intention in this right now? My head just to mess around, or do I want something quite serious? Are you ready to be quite serious? Are you busy with other things in your life right now? So again, I think the major problem with dating right now, and you probably realize this, open, honesty, and just being very vulnerable.
Yeah, you started off talking about the whole kind of the male perspective with regards to dating. And I think I did a video about this the other day, and I said, I think every woman should once in her life take the male role from beginning to end. And you could see some of the comments on TikTok, the resistance to that as well. And ironically, one woman saying, oh, well, show me proof that it works, right? So she said, I want one proof. And I was like, okay. So there's one comment that was left on my Instagram where the woman's talking about, I did the approach, I took the initiative with the guy, and we're married now. And so I showed her the example. She goes, what, just one? You asked for one.
Exactly.
It's funny. I think when I look at mindsets as a whole, there is a lot of resistance on the women's side to accept when they're wrong. And this is not a sexist thing. I'm not trying to drive a wedge between men and women. This is me pointing out something that is empirically true, that I can see that this happening again and again and again. And then from the guy side, I think they just lack the basic skill set to move things forward. And through fear, or whatever it is, whether it is fear, because of the Me Too movement and other factors that have happened over the last sort of 5 to 10 years, there is a number of things. But I try and reassure guys, look, don't worry about that, because the thing is, if you're letting that hold you back, that is what's gonna ultimately lead you to being single for a long time. So you've got a choice. I have this new principle, and I say to people, a very simple binary principle. When you narrow every decision down to a very binary one choice or the other, it makes life so much easier. So it becomes a very simple binary principle. You either continue what you're doing and getting the same results, or you step into that fear, take a few risks, and see what happens. Yeah. And it's that simple. You've got a choice. What do you want to do? I could show you the skills. It's very easy as a guy. It's not that hard. And at least after that, you're going to have the choice of woman after that, if you're able to cultivate these skills. Yeah. So, and there was another thing that happened recently as well, like that you mentioned, you touched on it. What do they really want? So this happened recently. Coaching client of mine, I introduced him to someone from the WhatsApp group again. I thought they'd be really well suited. And within a couple of minutes, she just rejected him outright. So, and then she complained on the group about never being approached by guys. And I was like, hang on a minute. Let's call this out. Let's call a spade a spade. You've just been introduced to a guy, a really good guy, someone I personally vouch for. You rejected him within the first 5 minutes. So talk me through this. Oh yeah, I just could tell. My intuition told me he's not for me. I'm sorry, that's not intuition. That's preconceived judgments. Yeah, what is it? Is his eye, his profession, his look? What is it? Be honest, be frank. No, she goes, no, it's my intuition. I was like, it's not your intuition. She's saying that it's intuition. I'm like, the happiest couples I know all met when they did, like they went beyond the first part of not liking each other. Yeah. They literally went through phases like that. They were like, they're not my type, but I took a chance to get to know this person.
There could be something there.
Absolutely. And then unless we get past the sticking point, that's one of the biggest challenges I see from the woman's side. The male side, I think, is just lack of being able to cultivate that skill of moving things forward. Guys who know how to do it. There's that guy creator on Instagram. I don't know if you see him, Diego. He's got quite a few 100,000 followers. But when I see what he does, he kind of showcases his approach to women. The
Riz King. kind of
that guy. Yeah, that's the one.
He's got the word.
Yeah. But you know, like I remember when I'm watching these videos, I was like, damn, that's the stage I got to.
Yeah.
I was like able to do this on a whim, on the drop of a hat, just approach women on the street and wherever and have this pure fun banter. Now it takes a lot of work to get to that point, but it's a easy skill to just see, observe, and think, this is where I am, this is where I want to get to. But obviously, like anything else, playing tennis, learning stand-up comedy, you go through a process. You just have to do it to get to that point.
Application.
Exactly, yeah.
It's anything when you're in the gym.
Repetition, fail, repeat.
Exactly.
Simple. And I think that, like you said, though, you've nailed a couple of important things, I think, which I see as been some of the biggest things, which is one, from the female perspective, not having that preconceived judgment before you've even had a chance to get to know someone. From the guy's perspective, I think it's major skill set issues.
Of course. There was one thing that came up in that group chat.
Yeah.
Because I'm an honorary member as well.
Yeah.
I was like,
unwilling.
I got invited to the group and I was like, Amit, people are messaging me. And I'm like, I thought I was just showcasing the podcast. And he said, no, you're single. You can chat. I was like, okay. That preconceived judgment, so someone said, oh, I'm looking for someone within this age range, and I'm like, don't be so judgmental on that front, because someone might be a lot younger, ready on your level to do X, Y, and Z. There was one thing that really stood out, I think it was last week or the week before, where I can't remember the individual's name. Men are too emotional right now, and I was just like, huh? Getting too much more emotional than women, someone across those lines. I won't lie, I was triggered, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Because it's not my place to say. But it just got me thinking, we look at what goes on with men's mental health and how it's a big problem. And you saying comments like that, which I know a lot of women are thinking, and even a lot of other men are thinking, you're now basically putting people in a position right now where they can't even be vulnerable with you to actually say to you, I like you. There's something about you that really stands out. But I won't lie to you, I'm quite shy. When you get to know me, I'm a bundle of energy. I've got the upbringing that's going to allow me to treat a woman right, but I'm also quite nervous and shy because, like, I've grown up with a lot of women, and so for me right now, I never want to disrespect anyone. So it might come across as I'm not interested in it, or it might come across as I haven't got the macho style and confidence around me. But there is that side to me. I'm just, or you know what? I do get quite upset about X, Y, and Z because this is what I've been through and this is what I had to experience. But when comments like that are labeled, I'm just like, love, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, why is it that men can't be emotional? And I feel like that's another thing that comes out. We need to have this facade about us. And when you don't have that, and if you are somewhat on the other scale,
you're in a no-win situation.
You can't do anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help. And
you could be a guy, for example, who doesn't show emotion, and you'll be like, "Oh, show me some emotion." And as soon as you show emotion, you're too emotional, right? And I'm sorry, ladies, but that is a little bit true. That is true. I see it firsthand, and I think that that's something that, from a point of self-awareness, like needs to be accepted. That actually you can't have it both ways. Say to guys, "I need someone emotionally mature," and then you meet a guy who's able to express emotion. I've got to admit, I think I'm pretty stoic, and I'm not very emotional for the most part. I can be. Where my emotions tend to flood out. So I watch a little kind of a dog show and I see a dog that's not being adopted. And then, we were watching one the other day and I was in tears, right? And Niti just looked at me and she appreciated that. Because she's like, it's not often I see that side of you. So it's nice. It's just nice to see that. And I feel as well that, because there are parts of me sometimes I feel like I'm a bit robotic. And when the emotion comes out, I'm actually really grateful because I think it reminds me that I'm human. And so as much as I try and maintain a bit of a strong front, but it comes out, and I appreciate that about myself, that it will come out, that, in the ways that are important to me. But yeah, so I think, ladies, you've got to understand that it can't be both ways.
Majority of my clients are women, right? And I feel like the reason why they gravitate towards me and like my style of coaching is because I hold that space. And when they can also see me feeling their emotions, it's like, wow, you might actually get it.
Yeah.
I wish I had someone right now who could get it too. And I'm like, it's coming. Just allow people to showcase that. Be very vulnerable and don't get upset if you see someone react in a certain way, because there could be a reason behind it. Let's start to understand the process. Let's not see things as personal attacks all the time. But it creates this level of controversy where men can't be emotional, but then we have to tolerate everything else that comes on the back end of this dating situation. I can't tell you right now how insecure I'm feeling because apparently that's a problem. But respectfully, I do. Like, you're beautiful. Never in my life have I ever been able to go and speak to someone like yourself right now. So am I allowed to feel somewhat like shit, a bit of an imposter? Of course, it's natural. That's not a bad thing. I'm actually loving the moment, but it might take me 2-3 dates to be showing you who I really am in front of my friends. But is that okay? You know what? I appreciate you being honest with me. Because whenever a girl is honest with me around her situation or what she's going through, I'm like, you know what? Thank you. I like that. I like that so much more about you because you feel comfortable enough to share that you're not fully there yet. And, you know, that's actually much more cuter. I can't lie.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I've been open and honest with girls, whether I said I'm just looking for going with the flow, just looking to have fun, just looking to try and find bae, like it hits home that I'm being very open and honest. And they're like, you know what? It might actually be for me right now, but I respect that. Like, you're a lovely guy. They like it a lot more.
Even that comment, putting that on your profile. So I'll tell you an interesting one I had yesterday. So again, try not to reveal too many details, but hopefully he's going to reveal it himself within a short space of time. So I mentioned on your podcast, obviously I was told I can't have kids. So when someone messaged me yesterday and said I was with someone and I had to go through surgery, and after that post-surgery I can't have children. And you know, so will you put my profile out for me? And if no one wants me, I'm going to leave the group. And I was like, right now, but I was very kind with them. I said, listen, okay, first and foremost, you've come to the right person because I know. And second, this is your superpower. You don't know it yet, but it truly is your superpower. Thirdly, what would you achieve by leaving the group? Nothing. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to post it for you. You're going to stay and you're going to post it every damn week. And you're not going to put it on a downer. I'm sorry, ladies, I can't have kids anymore. You're not going to say that. You're going to say, I've entered this new chapter of my life where I've discovered I can't have kids. But who knows? Maybe with the right person, you and I, we can adopt a baby together and raise a soul that really needs it. So this is how you're going to phrase it. Because you may as well, obviously I know he's going through his motions of accepting it right now, but you know, you may as well accept it. Nothing's going to change it unless, you know, a medical miracle in the future. Great. If that happens, wonderful. But until that point, this is who you are. This is where you're at. Embrace it and see where it goes. And I think when you embrace it, whether, again, I don't care what phrase or what terminology anyone uses, law of attraction, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Everyone's got a different name for it. They say cosmic ordering, future casting, law of assumption. It doesn't matter. I don't care what you brand it as. It's a universal law. Whatever energy you put out, you're going to get back. This is what you're going to get back. So if you embrace it openly, lovingly, then you're going to find women will come out of the woodwork and be like, oh, do you know what? I can't either. Because they've been too afraid to say it too. You doing it will give them permission to come out and say, do you know what? I'm in the same boat. Having kids isn't a big deal for me. When I told Nirti, she was like, it doesn't bother me. She's like, nah, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't particularly want kids anyway. So
exactly. And that's another thing. I feel like I would encourage this individual right now to come out and say, best believe I'm going to be the best father out there if he does want to be a dad.
Hell yeah.
You can adopt, you can play stepdad to someone who's lost their husband. You can, it's weird saying it. I know because you've got a dog. I spoke to someone about it on my podcast and I said, if having children becomes a problem, like surely you, tell me if I'm wrong, but when you with your pets right now, they are like your kids. Weirdly, like you would do anything for them.
It's not weird. It's not weird. It's just the most natural thing in the world. We've been given a gift to experience a bit of parenthood. Some people out there may think you're weird and that's crazy to think of your dog as your child. Do I care about you? No. Silly. I no impact on your life, right? He doesn't care. It doesn't matter to me. For us, we've got a baby that we've got to look after. And it's funny because I mentioned to you, obviously, Niti's not well. And, he's there with her he was really looking after us both today. He was kind of like giving us loads of kisses to say, look, everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, no, I'm there I'm your daddy. I'm looking after you. You don't have to look after your mummy and daddy. I'm there to look after you. But even that's going to be emotional a little bit. But yeah, I want to shower this little baby with love. He is my baby. And so, and if anything, that love has come from a place where I couldn't give it to someone else. So I will shower it all on him.
Exactly. Everyone's going for their own thing.
Yeah.
There might be women right now who might be in that position, 100%. Who generally want to have children, but no, they can't either. And they want someone who's going to accept it.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is X, Y, and Z. I'm in a similar kind of boat. I'd love to have a
family. Hi, my name is Slim Shady.
But I appreciate you telling this guy not to leave.
Yeah.
Good on you. Good on you.
No, man.
It's a very good space you've got there. If you're not part of the group and you want to be, I definitely would recommend it because the energy that I've seen with people getting vulnerable, showcasing who they are. The only thing I would say with it is be you versus trying to be what the last person has just posted. You know, there are some great lines I've seen in there. I'm like, that's some creativity. Yeah. And there are other times I'm like, is that really you though in those photos? Because that might have been taken like last year when you're on that holiday. Like, take a selfie right now what you look like and see what people say. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong. Mix it up a little bit. I don't know, drop a voice note or drop a video and just showcase who you really are. Show your creative side, show your vulnerable side. And I guarantee you someone will look at that and think, that actually is a bit of me. I could do with getting to know someone, like, even if on a friendly manner, like it's okay. It's Connect Asian for a reason. I'm here to connect with people. There could be a connection later down the line, but
I had a lady do that recently as well. She was posting a picture and I asked her honestly, so she had a free coaching session with me. She was asking about her profile specifically. Because I did say to her, I said, people ask me now and I'm really candidly honest, and they say, well, how's my profile? Do I need help? And I'm like, hell yeah, it's terrible. But that's okay. There's loads to fix in it and we can do it. It's a really simple process. One of the things I just asked her, I said, there's one picture in here and that just does not look like you. Well, how old is this picture? And she goes, 10 years old. I was like, you can't do that. You know, I see people posting up pictures which are very, very old. I mean, the most I would do, generally speaking, is, you know what, my rule for me personally, if I'm posting anything, not obviously for dating, but for any reason, is since I've had this beard, which has been about 4 or 5 years, generally most of the ones are about 2 years old, but like it's a relatively accurate representation. The only difference is I've got slightly more balder patch here. That's probably the only difference here, right? So, but I see people using pictures of themselves 10 years old and sometimes even more, and I'm like, that is dishonesty, because you're trying to give a representation of yourself that is not true. You're right. I think post a selfie of yourself right now. How hard is it? And I would agree that guys actually find this harder. Women are more comfortable taking pictures themselves. And I have to say to guys, it's okay to be comfortable with taking pictures. I've had to do this recently. I've started to learn a lot. I was at a wedding recently and there was no one else. I was conducting the wedding. I didn't have anyone there. So I thought, okay, I've got my tripod. I'm just going to place it around, do some pictures of myself, nice posy pictures of myself. And I was completely comfortable with it, doing it. It's fine. You know, like, I think if you'd asked me to do that a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have been still very uncomfortable. But now I'm just like,
no, but do it in your social settings then, because I feel like
for everyone else, just do it whenever.
When I see people of like holiday photos, I'm like, you live in the UK, the weather's terrible. You're not having these photos all the time. So yes, you look great there, but respectfully, that's not you all the time. So why not show me you in your raincoat right now, or you in the gym, or you walking down the street, or you at the pub with your friends? Take a photo of you smiling and laughing, because that's really you. Versus, and just put the phone there and just keep pressing the button while you're having a conversation and just talk and see what happens.
I have this funny thing that Niti says I do this really creepy smile sometimes. You know when you're passing by someone and you just smile like on the street, you know, them, can I do this really creepy? Yeah. And I do ears, and I do this like when we go through the airports and stuff like that. And she's always ripping me. She says like, "Don't do your creepy smile." They will arrest you and they'll put you in one of the rooms where they question you. And I walk past through security and I'm like,
it does look a bit creepy.
I admit it's completely creepy. It's completely wrong. But we'll start rounding off. I think this is easily turned into a part 2, but I'll ask you a couple of things to finish off. One of which I think it's so important at the moment for men to have good male role models, people that they can at least learn from, to know who they are. And who would you say is at the top of that list for you?
It's a weird thing to say, because I'm more, I'd say, a bit like career driven now, but I appreciate his honesty a little bit more. I don't listen to all of his podcasts, but like Stephen Bartlett, in terms of his transformation from being someone quite like not really close with his family to being someone who's quite helpful in his space and done very well successfully, but also getting a bit more vulnerable, talk about his personal life a bit more. I respect that. I feel I talk a lot more about my personal life, but I appreciate some of the things that he's trying to dive into, or whatever you see from behind the scenes anyway. So I'll say Stephen.
Nice, we'll tag him in, maybe we'll share as a plug. And then last but not least, tell everyone about how they can reach you, where they can find you, your podcast, where you are on social media, and one request to the audience watching this.
So you can find me on Instagram at UnclePri. It's got an underscore at the end. And that's the same with TikTok as well. My website is unfilteredcoaching.com. So there's no I in Unfiltered. And you can jump on there to see what more of my coaching services are, if it's something you want to jump into. But I would recommend that if you're going through something a bit difficult right now, it does say I only work with women, but I have a number of men I work with as well. If you're going through a certain challenge and you would like a space to speak to someone, I have a coaching experience available. And all that means is we're going to sit down and speak for an hour, and I'm going to give you a chance right now to get very unfiltered around anything and just showcase that people are there for you. I might never have to work with you, but you might want to work with Amit one day because what he's offering right now is exactly your cup of tea. But taking that step with me is you taking a step for yourself in the right direction to getting that help. That's my plug really. The podcast is called the Unfiltered Podcast. Again, not spelt with an I. And you can find all of that on my Instagram under the link tree thing. But yeah.
I had some really nice messages actually after the podcast we did as well.
You know, I'm actually upset that, again, a bit like how this has turned out, there wasn't much more, because I feel I had a preconceived judgment about you, and then reading more about your story and actually speaking to you, I'm thinking, Amit's someone who might seem different behind the screen, but when you actually get to know him, there's a lot more to it, and that's a personal lesson I've taken away from it. Not more about judging people, but like once you get a bit more deeper and allowing that person to be a bit more vulnerable, you might see something in there in regards to their hustle and their grind that you generally want to try and replicate one day. Like what you've done with Connect Asian, the events that you've held, I won't lie to you, later down the line, I'd love to do something similar. If not hosting my own thing, working with people in that space and capacity to like generally serve my purpose. So you're a little inspirational in that shape as well, mate. So
I was quite disappointed you said Steve, not me.
Honestly, it was a great episode that we had. So if you haven't listened to that, I definitely would as well.
I'll make sure I tag it in there as well, actually.
But thank you, man.
No, thank you, man. This has been an absolute pleasure. I'll just leave with this one thought, right? So you talked about the whole kind of judgment at first glance kind of thing. So do you watch Married at First Sight?
Yeah, no, I have,
Yeah. So did you see last night's episode?
I haven't, no.
So a new couple's been introduced, and the guy just seems like amazing. Like he's a dustman. He's really proud of it, what he does, right? And the woman was, and he even mentions that I get judged for my appearance, that he's a, shall we say, fuckboy, right? So what happens is they get to the altar, and as she's narrating in the background, her narration is saying that he seems a bit like a fuckboy to me, kind of thing. And exactly, it's funny that he says that, and that's exactly her thought, because this is what I talk about to people, is that you're having this thought, but you don't realize it, and you're creating that outcome. You're sending that energy out, and this is exactly what you're getting back. But she's now started to see that obviously he's got a kid, been through cancer, he's a cancer survivor, her dad passed from cancer, so they've got this connection now. So she says, I've seen a lot more to him. But if we could take a lesson away from to apply this to the dating side, it's that it's such an old cliche, but it's so true, not judging the book by its cover, and just being able to just delve into the pages first, read a chapter or two, and then decide if this is for you or not. But that usually happens in the first date or two. But you may as well at least get to that stage. Problem is we put too much impetus on the first day. I think if we just relax, let it go, just let it be a very simple meeting, a coffee, a walk in the park, I don't know, anything free, it doesn't matter. But then you're going to get a better glance at that person anyway, and then you can make a more informed choice. Yeah,
I think you definitely give people that chance. Again, remove that judgment from it. Remove the expectation it's going to be amazing. Just go in there, have fun, speak, see if there's a vibe. Don't forget, like, how you might be walking into this, they might be walking in with that same energy where they're possibly scared, nervous, or they might be really buzzing, or they might be putting on a facade right now. And once you're able to equip yourself with how this guy or this girl might turn up, you can then allow them the space to be vulnerable and chilled and see how that unfolds. But I need to get on to Married at First Sight. They actually invited me on the show back in 2020.
No.
Yeah, I got a message from ITV. I was like,
Would you do it? That one or Love is Blind? It's funny actually, because I'll just tell you this quickly, right? I like the beginning portion of Love is Blind.
I think it's a great concept.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't like the end bit.
Yeah.
I don't like the beginning bit of Married at First Sight. The marriage bit, I'm bored with that. I like the bit where they get to know each other. Like, that's what I like. So it's kind of, if you could take both of these concepts and then kind of put it there and get a little bit more like that, I think they'll make the perfect show. But
if things don't work out, you never know. It could be an option. Like, I think the idea in getting to know someone blindly is nuts, because I'm very much an appearance person.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm also very deep with my connection. Yeah. So that could be really good. And I also think the Married at First Sight thing, okay, I guess I'm married to you right now, but if an expert has put me together with you to see where things go and to learn more about each other, that could be a shout as well. But
yeah, I mean, I had Priyanka on the sofa for the last episode, and she was on Love Is Blind, and so yeah, she enjoyed the experience. She said she wouldn't do it again, but she enjoyed it. Definitely thoroughly enjoyed it. If I was still single, I'd definitely do it once. I went for what was the one with Paddy McGuinness?
Take me out.
Take me out. Yeah, I was there. I was on that. I got to the last. They have, I think, 38 people. I think, guys, and I got to the last 39. So I was like the alternate, and then I got dropped. But yeah, it was good though. It's a good experience. Yeah, I've done a dating show before though. Years ago, Project Parent. Yeah, it was a kids one where the kids but the kids decide if the parent goes forward with the date, and so they watch from a van in a secret location kind of thing, and then they decide, and they kind of tell you what to do and everything. There's a few clips of it on YouTube, but it's from back from 2011, I think it was.
No, respect to you, mate.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Putting yourself out there.
Yeah, man, it was good fun. I enjoyed it. I had a great time.
But
yeah,
a lot of fun. Thank you.
This has been a pleasure, man.
It's always a pleasure. Much appreciated again.
No worries, man. Yeah, no, thank you, man. Honestly, I think there'll definitely be a part 2 in the future, and be good to chat more and learn more about where Priyesh is going. And I'm excited to see your journey, man, as well, because I think you're an incredible guy, and I think that, like I said, I think it's always tough in this profession to find someone, but I think it just means that it's probably going to take a bit longer. But the kind of person who appreciates who you are will be an incredibly special.
Just trust the process as well. Yeah,
definitely. Sweet. Loved it today.
Thank you.
You've watched the Feel Inspired podcast. I'll see you guys on the next episode.